Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the Sanderlanche podcast. Today, we read Shadows of Self, chapters 11 and 12, wherein Wax chases down who he thinks is Bleeder. Maybe it was, maybe it wasn't. I don't know that we ever get a good answer on that. And it runs into some trouble instead. And then Marasai, and eventually others, get called to the site of an entirely different horrible murder. So, yeah. I'm Data, and with me is...
Joe.
Jamie.
And Dak.
So hang on to something, everybody. The Sanderlanche is about to begin.
Riddle me this now and riddle me that. Does anyone really know the mind of the bat? Wherever you're going, whatever you do, I'm out in the dark, keeping watch over you. So poison the ivy with your crocodile tears. We're climbing the vines to the heart of your fears. Can you tell me, has something changed? The rewards are zero, cause I ain't no hero. Do you know it when you go strange? Is your taunting true? Am I as crazy as you? Check my head, I guess the joke's on me.
So, yeah. Three. So, yeah. 2 chapters. We got some action going on. We've even got some more broadsheet stuff. So what did you guys think of these 2 chapters?
Well, these chapters were chapters. I don't know. For some reason, these specific chapters I found to not be quite as enjoyable as what we've read so far. There was something about it that I felt like, I don't know, I felt like our characters were almost too stupid. Like, I was like, what's going on? They're not on the ball here. I felt like there was some things that seemed kind of obvious that the characters were getting confused about, and I just don't know. It wasn't Wax wasn't up to his usual stuff, and I feel like neither was Marasai, and then Wayne was kind of like just there doing his Wayne thing, but not even in like a super fun way. So these chapters really kind of missed it for me. It was kind of a departure from the lovely book we'd had so far. So yeah, I'm hoping that we're a little over halfway now, so I'm hoping that things kind of take a turn and some different things happen. But yeah, just like some of the stuff that happened, like him thinking that the father figure that it was Harms, and then near the end when he sees the priest, he's like, oh, it's that father. I'm like, that doesn't make any sense. It wouldn't be that father. He's not your father. He's not even the father of your religion. So some of that stuff I was just like, what is he talking about? The only really cool thing that came out of it is we got to see another Khandra. That was probably the most fun part of it for me. Even the fight wasn't that exciting. I don't know.
Okay.
So yeah, and I'm kind of wishy-washy on these ones.
Interesting. I don't know that I disagree about Wayne. He doesn't get a lot of. I don't know that he gets a lot of chance to do stuff. I think he has like the one conversation with Steris, which is like okay.
Well, and he's not very nice to her either. Which I mean, get he doesn't like her, but still, it's just like,
yeah, that was rough.
Yeah, it's just like, oh, Wayne, that's not cool. And then like I understand he gets mad, but then he pouts and goes and sits with the guys that he already beat up because he's like, I'm just doing this to prove a point that I don't even want to be around you. It's like, okay, why are you doing that?
Yeah.
I mean, I totally agree with the Wayne being a bit of an asshat portion of the book. I thought it was really unfair to Steris. Like there was like, okay, Wayne, I get you don't like her, but also that's way too far. Like that's just not cricket. And I lost a little bit of respect for Wayne at that point. I really hope he can redeem himself, but I was like, don't be that guy. But I disagree. I actually really enjoyed the rest of it. I thought the fight scenes were pretty good. There's definitely apparently I'm always trying to do something new with how I'm reading this book. In that Dak read it to me this time, which was good fun. I thought there was really a few of those like cinematic moments, you know, the mist ruffian style mist coat, dancing in the wind and all that sort of stuff. That was a bit of fun. I thought the murder was pretty gruesome. I'm kind of interested to learn a bit more about that. Oh god, what was the first thing that happened? That was the
Wayne. Oh no, Wax meeting with Milan.
Oh yeah, I was so excited when I was like, when we were reading it last week, I was like, geez, that name sounds a lot like Milan. I'm like, okay, well, we can have similar names. That's totally fine. And then when Dak read it, he then changed the pronunciation, and I was like, hang on a minute, did you just say Milan? And his eyes lit up.
I had to spell it.
Yep.
It's like, yeah, so it's spelled this.
It's spelled like this. And I was like, oh my gosh. And then when she was like, don't tell Ten soon, I'm like, oh my bloody Ten Soon's back. That's so exciting. Yeah, I'm glad that he's still around. That makes me happy on the inside. That was good. So I'm very excited to see where that part of the story goes. But I quite enjoyed it. I thought it was a good next bit of the story, and they're maybe having a bit of an off day, some of the characters, but I'm sure they'll come good.
I was wondering at the time if anyone was going to pick up. It's like, hey, these names sound kind of similar to, but no one mentioned it at least. So I was like, okay, well, maybe it'll be a surprise for people when we get there. And
I feel like it was one of those things. It was like, oh, it sounds like Milan, but then like, and really, we should just go with the really out there thoughts. We really should, because half the time they pay off anyway. But I was like, nah, surely not. Nah, couldn't be. And it was.
So should we be getting Dak a job as an audiobook narrator? How do you do?
Look, pretty well. I mean, Dak does do the voice acting gigs.
Right.
So he's got a voice for it. He does have a slight cold at the moment though, so that made it a little bit hard.
Yeah, you might hear that today.
He's fine. But
it's not COVID. I took the test. It's not COVID.
There you go.
It's not COVID. No, just a regular Aussie winter cold.
Yeah. Weather dropped about 5 degrees, and all of a sudden I'm feeling it.
Yeah. Well, it's probably a good idea to get the test before you guys went to a party today. So that's
correct. Yeah, we probably don't need to infect the entire family. Well, and we were at a family function on Monday, and it slowly, like, a whole bunch of people have gotten sick, as it turns out. So someone there was the originator of it.
I mean, yeah, I didn't lean into the audiobook as much as I could have. I didn't do like distinct voices for everyone, but maybe next time. So these chapters were good. I agree with Joe; they're a bit weaker than what have come before. I don't think that they're not the worst things ever, and they're not bad. But there are a few things about them that some things were really good and some things weren't. Like, I don't think throughout all the reading that we've done, I've ever been simultaneously so overjoyed and so annoyed all at the same time as the Tensoon reveal that he's still around here, because I was so excited to hear, oh my god, he's back, and then I had to reread this a couple of times, I had to make sure I didn't misread that, and the more I read it, the more I'm like, this is a terrible way to give us that information. Why would Milan bring that up to Wax? Wax doesn't know who Tensoon is. Like, he's just going to be like, the fuck are you talking about to this line? And so it's clearly just there to get the audience excited that Tensoon's coming back. But you know how else Brandon could have done that? By showing us Tensoon coming back, which he presumably will do later. So I thought, yeah, I was really happy to see that Tensoon was back, but like the way that handled was mind-bogglingly clunky. That said, everything else about Milan here was really, really cool. Like, her in the action scenes, like the fight, and even just like the bits where she wasn't on screen, where Wax was just fighting the guys. That whole fight scene was really cool. I really enjoyed that. So that was all good. I agree. I'm really disappointed in Wayne for just how he's shutting down Steris. I get that Steris can be hard to get along with, but also Wayne, you're also hard to get along with.
No joke.
But Steris is making the effort, and you're just like, oh, you hate what she represents. You have no idea what she represents, dude. You're not even trying to find out. Like, yeah. I mean, maybe he just doesn't twig that Steris actually does like Wax. Maybe not in the way that Wayne would want her to, but come on, Wayne. Like you're supposed to be the guy who thinks outside the box. Think outside the box. So there was that. When they said, "Oh, it's Father Bin who's been killed," I was just like, "Who dat? Have we come across him before?"
That's actually a good question. Hold on, I want to see if I think it. Oh, I said that.
I don't know. It sounded familiar for me either earlier in
Yes.
this book, like he was like in the scene, but we didn't really talk about him.
Father Bin was the one that was going to perform their wedding.
Ah, yeah.
Oh,
So
Okay.
that's where we've heard of him is because Steris was like, oh no, requesting Father Bin to do the ceremony was the only thing that you needed to do, Wax. So
Okay.
I guess that would make him his father then.
yeah, in a roundabout way.
Yeah, it just didn't make a lot
Yeah.
of that line didn't make a lot of sense to me when he's like, oh, he was talking about this father. Leader was talking about this father. Because I'm like, that guy's not even the father of your religion.
Yeah. Yeah, no, so that was weird. Like when they're just like, "Oh my God, Father Bin's been killed," I'm just like, "Am I supposed to know who this is?" Like, I feel like this is being treated like a big reveal, and I've got no idea who you're talking about.
yeah,
So I'm like,
Why should
all right,
I care?
yeah, so like maybe it's on me for not remembering that detail, but the guy got mentioned once, and he didn't even appear in the book
Right.
yet. So I'm just like, okay, cool. That said, the actual murder scene and like the way it all went down was pretty fascinating in a horrific sort of way. So that was cool. Like, yeah, so cut a long story short, these chapters, good bit, bad bit, good bit, bad bit, good bit, bad the whole way through. I did love Wax talking to the governor in the carriage, and like every few seconds, like, all right, fuck you, I'm out, and the governor's like, whoa, like that was hilarious.
Yeah.
And I fucking loved Wax coming in, like bursting into Lord Harms's study, and Harms looks up and sees him there with guns out, grabs his own gun, and is like, all right, buddy, where are they? Let's go. And then Wax just like, just point that thing down.
Yeah.
Like that was fucking hilarious to me. Like I know Lord Harms is like, he's not a major character, and like he's probably not someone you're meant to be like, yeah, this guy's great, but he's fucking funny. I like him.
Yeah, have some trigger discipline. Let's just point that somewhere.
I say, old boy, let's go hunting.
Okay, so I don't disagree with you about the Tensoon reveal being clunky, but just as a note, you're like, he doesn't even know who that is, and I'm like, I'm pretty sure people know. Like, we got Sunni pups that are apparently based on Tensoon. I'm pretty sure people know who Tensoon is.
Oh,
Oh,
yeah.
that's true. Yeah, and also there's a statue of him with Vin, isn't there? Or did I make that up?
That was the statue of Ellen, wasn't it? I didn't think the dog was there.
Maybe not.
No, but he had a title as well? The Guardian or the Protector?
the Guardian.
Or
That's
something?
what it was.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Even though they only hung out for like a month.
You know, the dumb thing that just occurred to me, it's like, oh yeah, like he was in the statue, like, you know, the shapeless, formless plinth that she's standing on, that's the true form of a Kandra.
But yeah, at the same time, it's like, well, Wax doesn't know Tensoon, so like, you're like, don't tell him, okay? It's like,
Yeah.
all right.
Oh yeah, me and the Guardian, we go way back.
I won't tell this guy who I've never met that thing you just said, which I probably won't even remember.
Good times. Yeah. Okay, before we actually get into it, just because we've been talking about it right now and it reminded me, I'm going to read you guys this, I was going to say it was like a question answer thing, but it was a statement more that Brandon made on Reddit that kind of shed some light on like why some of this is written the way it is. So
It's titled, "You Can All Shut Up Now."
well, no, it's just like, let's see. So I guess somebody just posted a thing on Reddit, and then someone like tagged him and was like, hey, what do you think on this? And then he kind of responded. So that happens sometimes on Reddit, is Brandon just shows up and says some stuff. So, and this is actually from, after Shadows of Self came out, I guess. So somebody else was not super happy with the way Wayne treats Steris, basically.
Right.
And Brandon says, so I don't know how much I've talked about this, but there are two things going on with Wayne in regards to Steris. The first is that Wayne is a highly instinctive person. He does think, and more than people give him credit for, but he judges a lot of what he does by what his gut says. I've known people like this, and they can be extremely charming, but have more trouble articulating why they might make a certain decision or why they don't like a particular person. Wayne doesn't like Steris. She feels off to him, and his instincts say that she's hiding something. Trouble is, his gut is misleading him in this case. Steris doesn't think and react like Wayne does, but it's not because she's hiding something, it's because she doesn't pick up on the same social cues that someone as highly sociable as Wayne sees. And then there's a second issue here, and that's Wayne's overprotectiveness. Wayne tends to lump people in his head into my mates and those other folks. And once you're in with him, he'll do basically anything for you. You'll never find a more loyal friend. At the same time, it's hard to get in with him. And if he perceives someone as stealing someone from him, he gets very defensive, even mean. He doesn't realize it, but his subconscious sees Steris as taking Wax away from him, and even more importantly, away from Lessie. He'd be belligerent toward anyone that Wax started dating, but the fact that he gets a lot of false positives off of Steris doesn't help. If Wax and Marisai had worked out, he'd probably have been okay with it, as an example.
I mean, I guess, but he was the one trying to convince Wax in the first book to like get back out there, so that's a little confusing.
Well, I think it's probably there's a difference between, hey Wax, you need to get back out there and meet people, and then he's actually being with someone, and someone that you're like, oh, I don't like that person as much already. So then it's like, okay, well, I said that, I didn't mean her.
Yeah, so like I get it. I get his mindset there. I get like everything he's going through. That all makes sense. Does not change the fact that I'm not happy with him about it. So it's like, yeah, the decision makes perfect sense to me when explained that way. Still don't like it.
Well, because we like Steris now. We're like, Wayne, stop being an asshole.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a real dick move.
Doesn't make Wayne right.
So okay, I guess let's get into these things. We'll start with the broadsheet page here. I like the first ad is for aluminum doorknobs and locks, so that Allomancers can't just like open your door by shoving the locks out, which that's pretty clever actually.
Yeah.
Yep.
To be fair, we did see Wax do that a lot in this chapter. He did shove stuff open a lot today.
Yeah. That's a thing he does.
Yeah, I like how he has such disregard for people's entryways that he like blows his father-in-law's windows open the wrong way and breaks them.
Oops.
Hey, he's in a hurry, okay? And Harms is rich. It's fine. You can break rich people's stuff, right? It's perfectly okay.
Wow, you're that is not right.
Guess he's no longer coming to Sunday brunch.
Yeah.
Another ad is investors wanted. Investing in electrics will grow your wealth. Contact ST, which I'm pretty sure is supposed to be Sophie Tarcell that we met in the previous section.
Yep.
And then there's an article about Wax and his chase and Marksman's death. And the newspaper is not a fan of Wax, is what we take from this.
This is very Spider-Man J. Jonah Jameson. It's like, oh, Waxillium Ladrian? He's a criminal, that's what he is!
Yeah, I don't know. I feel like, and maybe it's because it came from Aradel today in the chapters that we read, but I feel like the newspaper and Aradel kind of have a point. It's like he gets to do kind of whatever he wants, and then everybody else just has to clean up the mess. And like there's a point where that becomes irresponsible, because he's not like Batman who pours money into the city to try to make it better, and then also he goes out and fights crime. He's just kind of solving case by case, kind of doing whatever he wants. Like especially the part today, it was egregious. Like, and we'll get there in a little bit. It was like he breaks some dude's car completely, and it's just like, oh, don't worry about it. The city will pay for a new one. Like,
I got the impression that he was going to pay for the new one.
But
It's
not the way it sounded, but maybe you're right.
But yeah, I mean, and he broke it's part of the article. It's like he destroyed the motor car of Lady Doris Chevelle, who's enjoying a leisurely drive.
Mm-hmm.
And shot up these accounting offices. Both have retained solicitors. I also like how they call him Wax in quotations, and it's like his latest caper, though successful, also ended in the death of the accused, as well as an unidentified bystander. And I was like, okay, maybe the newspaper doesn't have all of the information, but let's be clear: the unidentified bystander killed Marksman, and then took a woman hostage.
Yeah,
and had to be killed. Like that's
clear.
That doesn't fit their angle.
Yeah. Clearly they don't have all their info correct, but at the same time, they're not wrong about some things.
Yeah.
I like that picture of him. I did not picture Wax with such generous sideburns.
The sideburns, yeah. They're massive. And then there's got to bring up the picture of the broadsheet page on my phone because there's a little tiny piece of like that story that we were reading earlier about Almancer Jack, or Gentleman Jack as he's now called.
Ugh.
She's like, had I not bested the tribes at the pits of Eltania? Oh, hey, we read about that.
I like that the ash mounts are now green with vegetation.
Yep. And wasn't it I that had domesticated the fabled long-neck horses of the plains of Kirmaron? And I'm just imagining, like, what are the long-neck... I would think that maybe they were giraffes, except that we heard the word giraffe earlier in the book.
Yeah, maybe he's just too dumb to know that's what they're called.
Yeah.
Or maybe they're like llamas or something. I'm just trying to picture what animal this is.
There, Felicity.
And if they are giraffes, that'd be awesome. I want to see him riding a giraffe, like that's with like a saddle and shit on there. That'd be hilarious. I don't know how you get up there, but other than that,
The stepladder.
yeah, I gotta have a ladder to get on a regular horse. I'm just I'm not young anymore. That's the thing.
Son, is that a long-necked horse?
I don't know, Pa. It's got all these weird spots on him.
Oh, you ain't seen a spotted horse, boy?
No.
I did read the thing, by the way.
Looks
And,
like mighty good eating.
Got notes.
Yeah, it's got some good haunches on it.
That would be a big haunch to eat. I don't know how they taste.
Pa, where'd we put the harpoon?
Notes, eh?
Yep. How does
Tiny,
giraffe
say.
taste?
Why, with your testimony, we'll outlaw this insidious slurm.
It tastes very similar to horse, but more tender. I haven't had
Wait,
horse either, so the other thing in there was somebody's very upset about street racing, and it just really strikes me as funny that it's like, man, that's ruining horse racing, the street racing.
Yeah. Justin Bieber's out here with his rented Lambo. It's the worst.
But
No, the best thing on this broadsheet is like the cadmium misting who's like, oh, gonna get through this board meetings, speed up time. Like, oh, fucking goal. Yes, you are winning, sir or madam.
That's so weird, though, because it's like, it doesn't make a lot of sense, because it's like people would notice him just sitting there not moving or doing anything.
honestly, it's just like, why even show up at that point?
Yeah,
like,
just
they're gonna
go
know
to your
you're
office.
ignoring them. Just
yeah, just go to your office and do it.
It could be required attendance.
yeah.
I guess.
If you're on a
I have,
board of
like-
directors, I don't know that they can require you to show up.
I've been to so many work meetings, not at my current job, thankfully, which it's like, oh man, I got to sit through this, and like I don't say anything or interact with what's going on at all, but it's like, cool, no worries. An hour later, oh,
I do know that feeling, because I am in many meetings that I know I don't need to be in and don't have anything to do with. The other day, I'm sitting there for like an hour just ignoring this meeting and working on other stuff because I know that there's nothing relevant going on. When I get like a message, it's like, hey, aren't you coming to this other meeting that you actually need to do stuff at? I was like, oh shit, I got so caught up ignoring this one meeting, I didn't realize the other meeting had started. Fun.
and there's a baker decorating pastries with atium flakes. Like,
Yeah, I mean, I assume it's fake atium flakes, but yeah.
But just imagine, what if it was real? It's like I mean, we all know hash brownies are a thing, but you imagine a Sia or a Mistborn taking these things. It's like, I can see the future! And just having no clue why this is happening.
It's such a small portion of the population that even if atium mistings or Mistborns still do exist, they'd be so tiny a portion.
It's like, yeah, man, like, we had these brownies at the party, like 30 people there. Most people, like, just didn't feel a thing. Except Brian in the corner was just freaking the fuck out every time. He's like, someone's about to go through that door! And then they did.
And then they did. My hands can touch anything but themselves.
Oh, wait. Okay. So we get the chapter. I'd kind of forgotten that as we come back in, Wax is falling out of a window. But it's fine. He can do shit like that.
Yeah.
And he has some thoughts about Vin. They rarely called her by her name. Her title, like those of the other preservers, were used to show reverence. Was used. And apparently, like, Sazed in his book wrote kind of what happened with her. She melded with the mists, taking them upon herself and becoming their guardian as they became her essence. And sometimes he thinks he can see her, like, form in the mist. It's like, it's just my imagination, right?
It's her yelling at him, "I don't know you."
Right? Yeah. Like, why does she care?
I like she watches over those in the night. I'm like, man, Vin turned into Moon Knight.
Right? Yep. Watching over travelers in the night. It seems like Vin's sort of thing.
Yeah.
I buy that. But it's interesting to me that when he gets to the bottom, there's nobody there. And somebody who's standing there is like, well, we saw a chair fall down, but nobody else. So a dude totally jumped out that window. Maybe he was either bleeder with some sort of power, or maybe just a misting or something.
Yeah, or maybe he's dead.
He's just dead behind a bush. He fell real hard back there.
He's like, oh, I shouldn't have jumped out that window. That was a mistake.
But Wax hears a car like tearing off, and feels it with or sees it with his steel vision or whatever, and he's hesitant, like that could be unrelated, but I don't see anything else that looks suspicious, so I guess I'll go after it. And so yeah, he just flies up over the car, and same thing he did while chasing Marksman, basically, is he flies over the car, then gets real heavy and pushes down to force it to stop. He pops the wheels like tomatoes and squashes the roof just enough to bend the metal doors in their housings. See, they're going to move into fiberglass cars way sooner than we did here. It's just too much. I guess you still have a big-ass engine in there, so it's not really.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And so it's a cabbie who's like, oh, he got out like 2 streets back. He didn't even let me stop. Please don't. So Wax is like, I mean, it could be Bleeder. And he asks Harmony, like, in his head, it's like, is it him? And Says is just like, I don't know.
It's like, if I knew that, I wouldn't need you.
So he tells the guy, he finds out where the fare supposedly got out, and then tells the guy to go to the police station, wait for me there. We got some questions, and once I'm satisfied, we'll buy you a new motor. It does say we. I don't know who what the we refers to exactly, but yeah.
Also, like, it's like, yeah, go to the precinct station. It's like, I can't get out of the door. You squashed it.
I was thinking that too. I was like, how exactly is he going to get out?
Do they have tow trucks yet?
I was about to say, I wonder if tow trucks have been invented.
The tow truck is just a horse with a hook on his tail.
Right. And so he's going through these, he's heading down there, going down these dark streets and alleys, trying to track down Bleeder and wondering, was that Bleeder? What kind of power might Bleeder be using right now? It could be a coin shot or a lurcher, or it could be anything really. And then he realizes that as a dozen men come falling out of this warehouse, that he has been led into a trap.
I love this train of thought. It's like, relief. He hadn't lost his quarry. He'd simply been led into a trap. Wait. Damn it. It actually just cuts away to, wait. Damn.
Oh, good. It's just a trap. Oh, fuck me. Yeah. Yeah. And he managed to throw himself back into cover after a second, but he does get clipped in the arm by a bullet. And he also notes that not all of the bullets have lines pointing at them, so aluminum bullets are in use. And he's just like, man, Bleeder is better funded than I expected, actually, if she can afford that. And these dozen people are just like shooting over and over while he's behind this brick wall. He's like, why are they doing that? Like, oh, they're trying to distract me because here come some people behind me. And even on this misty night in the dark, he manages to, like, 2 shots, take 2 of these guys down real quick. But there's still 3 left with crossbows. And things might have gone poorly for him, except that out of the shadows, a guy just, like, gets pulled away into the shadows. And he heard an irk of pain. And he says, Wayne, and a feminine voice says, not exactly. Which is a weird answer, actually. I mean, you're not Wayne at all, as far as we know. I don't know what you mean, not exactly, but okay. And it is the lady from the party Now, not just, I believe he mentioned that a lot of the top half of her dress was missing at the party. Now a lot of the bottom half of the dress is also missing because she's ripped off her skirt below the knees. And he pulls his gun on her, and she's like, dude, I just saved you, really? And so he's going to, after he accepts that, okay, maybe she's not here to kill me, he's going to fly them out, and she's like, no, I heard those guys talking before we killed them. They have snipers on 5 roofs watching for you to push into the mists with aluminum bullets. Like, oh, geez, this was a really well-prepared trap, actually.
Well, we know that Mr. Suit is competent, if nothing else.
Yeah. And he's like, who are you? And she says, does it matter now? And he says, no. So we're going to put that behind us for right this second. And more guys even start showing up as they're trying to run away. And he's like, how many men does Bleeder have? And she's like, well, this cannot be Bleeder. Like, how could she have recruited an army of dudes? She's always worked on her own.
Sorry, can we just back up a bit there?
Yeah.
Right before they start running, like, Wax talks about he feels stronger in the mists. It shouldn't be so. He was no pewter arm, but there it was. Like, do people just believe that thugs are the only ones who get powerful in the mists? I thought that was an everyone thing.
I don't know that anyone actually, except for Vin drawing on the mist, ever got more powerful in the mist. It was the mist react to people using allomancy. They like swirl around them or something. But I think that he mentions pewter arm here because of pewter arm, like when they burn, they do get stronger and they bodies feel stronger.
Right, yeah. So it's the way it was phrased made it sound like the mists made pewter arms strong. I'm like, what? What?
No, but I agree. It is interesting that he does feel like he gets some sort of boost out of here, and maybe it's just all in his head because he just kind of likes the mists, or maybe there's something else going on we don't know about.
Wouldn't be the first time the mists have been up to something.
Right. And as they decide they're going to have to fight, Milan reaches into her cleavage, which turns transparent, and pulls out some guns, or a gun. And she says, so convenient. You can store all sorts of things in those.
I thought pockets in a dress was cool. This is like next level pocket.
Yeah. And maybe
missed the memo. It's like you meant to hide them in your bra, not the dick in your bra.
I was about to say, maybe explains, like, when he first meets her, we get like this thing about how she's very like busty or whatever, and now it's like, so because she can decide how big they are, so she wants to store more stuff. It makes complete sense to me now. Like, you got like,
I'm assuming Wayne will be quite envious.
The best disguise, ability to disguise, he's gonna love it. And she says that she is Malon, pronouncing slightly different now. The father promised you help. I'm it. And he gets sort of a mental message from Harmony that you can trust this one. So he's like, all right. Complete with like this sense of endlessness that he's like, okay, so I guess basically that's Harmony's signature, so that I know this isn't Bleeder trying to speak into my head like earlier. Which I hadn't thought of that Bleeder could pretend to be Harmony and like lead him astray, so I'm glad somebody had.
True.
And we got, I think it's 12 guys chasing them, 4 people ahead, and she's like, you want the ones in front or behind? And he says he'll take the ones behind, and she's like, such a gentleman. By the way, I'm technically not supposed to kill people. I think I already broke that rule tonight, so if we survive, please don't tell Tensoon that I murdered a bunch of people again. It upsets him. Again. Like, he hates when I do this.
That was exactly my reaction. Again. I mean, after the Tensoon reveal.
Also, we skipped the fact that she's apparently the one that he met a long time ago.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They have met before, she says.
I've been watching over you. That's creepy.
Yeah, it would be very creepy, yes. I mean, she says that they've met once, so I don't feel like that's a watching over thing necessarily.
Well, that they've met once doesn't mean that's the only time she's observed.
That's a good point. Yeah.
I mean, Harmony's had a bit of an interest in him, so maybe she's been around for a while.
She's been the understudy for Wax, should something bad happen to Wax.
If Wax dies, take his bones.
Yep. There you go.
What do I do about Wayne? Fuck knows.
I thought you were gonna say fuck him.
Ew.
Yeah, I know Wax and Wayne are close, but jeez.
No, I was more just like screwing the blob monster. That's kind of weird.
Okay, also weird, yeah. I'm not gonna disagree with that either. Okay, so I wonder if Tensoon is like the boss now. Like it kind of makes like don't tell Tensoon about this, or if he's just because we learned in the first trilogy or whatever that he was kind of like the person who helped her learn stuff, so like a kind of a big brother thing. So maybe that's all it is. It's like, oh, don't tell my big brother that I murdered a bunch of people again. Because Melan is one of the few like named Kandra that we knew from the first trilogy. So nice to see her back.
Yeah, it really came off as okay. So we want to bring in some Kandras. Let's bring in some of like the lesser seen ones, but who had names, so we can tie it back to the original trilogy. So we'll bring back Melan here, and maybe we'll bring back like that weirdo who grew an arm out of his face, Jimmy. That's for sure.
It's funny you say it that way, because I was actually thinking just before we recorded today that I was just like, Melan didn't really have much of a role in the first trilogy. Like she kind of had a couple of interactions with Tensoon, and that was it. She felt kind of pointless. So I'm just like, did Brandon introduce her in the first trilogy because he had plans to use her in like later stuff? Maybe she'll be a main character like somewhere, even in like the next trilogy, since Kandra can live however long, assuming she doesn't die right now, which we know she doesn't because we got to the end of the chapter. But so
I think it was like Jim Butch has talked about it with the Dresden Files. Like he'll just throw in characters here and there, just like, oh, this could be fun for like a little one-shot thing. And then, like, he can decide when he's doing later books. It's like, am I going to use that character again? That might be fun. Or it might not, which is why some of them have come back in a big way and others haven't.
Yep. We got Butters, who was like a one-shot and then became pretty important.
Yep.
But this is where Wax finally puts together that his uncle must be behind this with the planning and the aluminum bullets and all this. It's like, oh, crap, if Bleeder and the set are working together. Which is what we've been theorizing since the beginning, basically. So good job catching up, Wax. And so, he starts shooting the dudes behind them, and Melan's doing. He doesn't have time to pay attention to whatever she's doing. Assume that she's carrying her into this deal. Not all of them are using aluminum, though. So he does manage to push some of their weapons out of their hands, stop some of the bullets in the air, and he takes down like most of these guys. Some coming at him with dueling canes, and others with bows, and he runs out of bullets, which I like that he says both out, or he thinks both out, I believe, and pulls the triggers anyway. And then one of the guys who's like cowering backwards, it's like, hey, he's out, get him. He's defenseless. And Wax is like, why do they think I need guns to be dangerous? And once again, this is a very cinematic moment where he's just like, he reaches into his coat, pulls out the like grappling hook thing on the end of a rope and just drops the metal so it hits the ground with a clink, and he's like, this is how it used to be done. And he starts like slaughtering people with the spike, whirling around, rope flying places. It's just, I would love to see that done cinematically. Although it kind of reminds me, I think, of actually Shang-Chi, now that I'm thinking about it, and his sister.
Oh yeah,
she doesn't need like pushing powers to make it just fly around doing whatever. But as he kills the second to last guy, he thinks there's just one more, and he turns around, but he's going to be too slow. The last guy has an aluminum gun, and he goes, the set sends its regards, law, and then gets a knife rammed into his back. And Melan says, here's a tip, kid. Save the wisecracks until your foe is dead. Like this. See how easy it is? And then she kicks the dead guy in the face, which is just mean.
Yeah, this was definitely the part where I was like, man, this is not even that fun. It's just kind of dumb.
I love it.
It got very corny.
Yeah, it got cornbally real quick.
Oh my gosh, I like Melan here, so, and even with her jokes, so I'm good with it.
Yeah, and the old translucent breast joke, like I haven't seen that a million times.
And so he thinks Bleeder is going after Lord Harms. I don't remember if he even mentioned that before now, but so At the end of
he did. He speculated it.
at the end of
Which
the
is
last
funny
one,
because-
you guys were like, "Wait, his dad's alive?"
Yeah, we all had all these speculations like, oh my god, his dad's alive, or is Edwan his real dad and she's going after him and everything? It's like, oh no, it's my father-in-law, and we was like, oh yeah, that guy.
No, see, I still don't buy it. I'm like, nah, that's wrong. You're wrong. You're dumb, Wax.
You're done.
It's 100% the guy who you think is your uncle, and that's your dad.
Oh
So
yeah,
that's-
but it's more just the fact that we never even considered him as a possibility.
Well,
It's
that's
like,
what I was
Yeah,
gonna
because it doesn't make
ask, like-
sense. Like, that's what I'm saying. Like, Wax is stupid. Like, that's dumb. That's not good logic. Oh, it must be my father-in-law. Oh,
Well, the only thing close to a father that he has at this point, as far as he knows.
I
So-
guess, but I don't
So-
know. It's just dumb.
I mean, it makes more sense than the priest.
Well, yeah, and
Yeah.
so now we have what Wax thinks is the answer to that question in the priest. But when we were at this point, I think Joe pretty obviously was like, "Oh no, that's dumb." Did that convince you guys? Were you like, "Oh, that makes sense, and that maybe that is who Bleeder is going after," or were you still skeptical?
What, with the father-in-law?
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I thought, oh yeah, I guess that's logical. I can see that.
Yeah, it was a bit of a okay, all right, we missed the mark on that one, and I just sort of accepted it and moved on. And then when we got to the priest, I was like, oh, the father. I didn't even think about the religions were different, but that's how I felt anyway.
Okay. So he's gonna go try to save Lord Harms from potential murder, and he tells Malon to meet him or somebody that he sends at a bar, and tells her good luck. And she's like, "I'm not the one who needs help, dude. I'm basically bulletproof." So
Again, pretty corny. Now that we just brought it up, though, I guess technically Bleeder also did kill his father of his religion, because that's whose bones the Conjure was using when it came to the church. But anyway, we'll get to that.
apparently, the priests of that church are not, or kind of, it's kind of a weird, because we know that his religion doesn't seem to have like organized meetings or anything like that. It's a very like solo thing, based on how he described it last time. So he elects, instead of flying into the air because those snipers are still out there, he jumps into the canal, and he's going to try to get out that way without being spotted. Which, maybe that's a good plan.
Yep.
And then we cut back to Wayne, and he's asking people questions about the guy who jumped out the window. Was he acting weird or anything like that? And I love that he's got a pad that he seems to be taking notes on, until a little later we find out that he's like, oh no, and there's just like scribbles on there. He's like, now people will answer questions with more information if they think you're writing something down.
It's like, well, we know he can't read or write, so it's like,
I still think that was just a joke on his part.
Well, it's funny though, because I think it was when I was in retail, someone said, if you want someone to like think you look important or that you're doing something, carry a clipboard. Even if you've got nothing on the clipboard, people just like, you must be the guy that's doing stuff. So Wayne's onto something there.
yeah.
And he ends questioning this woman by asking her where she got her shoes. And she's like, my shoes? Yeah. They look pretty comfortable, they do. Can't have too many pairs of black pumps. They go with rusting everything. You're a man. Sure am. Check the last time I pissed. The shoes?
Oh, what a line.
Oh, right. Yeah.
That's classic Wayne, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yep.
And she does not even flinch when he says that.
Nope. She just tells him where on Yeoman Street.
I've got a Yeoman Street, a Tin Wheel Promenade.
Mm-hmm. Hey, at least it's not Yedden Street. I'm hoping they didn't name anything after that guy.
When I was reading
That's
it out.
what I said.
Oh. Nice. She gave him that look that people seem to give only to Wayne, the one that he hadn't quite figured out. But apparently he has a pair of pumps in his disguise box, and they're awful. He's like, I can't wear those one more time.
Dude, I get you. Shoes are uncomfortable, bro.
Particularly pumps.
I will take anyone's word for that. I'm not gonna. I'm not gonna experience them because I've heard bad things. So So he has a very interesting thing where it's like his thinking about this person and whether they are actually Bleeder, because he's just like, no one thinks this guy was acting weird, but also no one likes him. He's a screw up and he's the new guy, and it's like an amateur of disguise might think picking the new guy was a good disguise, but when you can be anyone, why would you pick like the low man on the totem pole, basically, who was also new? Like, that just adds to suspicion. Picking a habitual klutz with a bad reputation just leads to everyone watching over your shoulder, which is not what you want when you're trying to impersonate someone. And then Wayne goes to give the governor's head of security the information he's discovered, only to find that all the guards are standing there guarding nothing. The governor and his head of security slipped out while no one was looking. And the fact that they've managed to trick him, the guards are very smug about this. And he's like, yeah, if we fooled you, hopefully we fooled the assassin. And Wayne's like, I'm supposed to be protecting him. The guy goes, well, you're doing a rusting good job of that, mate, ain't you? And then smirked, and so Wayne punches him. He spits out his gum and then punches him, which, all right.
Well, you don't want to choke on your gum.
You don't, but it's also just mean. You spit out in the middle of, like, this ballroom.
Also, he's taken to this gum.
Yep.
Like, just about every scene he's been in since he first tried it, he's had a piece, and it's like, man, this stuff is great.
That's going to be his thing now.
I was wondering, it's like...
It's actually filled with nicotine. It's nicotine gum.
Could be.
Yeah. Cocaine gum. That was a thing.
No thanks. That's gonna be Wayne's story arc as he gets addicted to cocaine.
Cocaine has adium in it.
That'd be weird, given that it comes from flowers. You just... okay, so we cut back to Wax, who's flying through the city, trying to get to Harm's place. And so he busts through the windows, rolling, guns out, and Lord Harm's just like at his writing desk in a swivel chair, and he sees him come in and scrambles for the desk drawer, pulls out his gun. Where are they? We can take them, eh, old boy? Wax is like, wait, you have a gun? He's like, yeah, after what happened last year, man, I realized the guy has to be armed. What's the emergency? I'll have your back. Yeah, because that's what he wants.
I mean, you know, there are worse things in life to have than a father-in-law who is very supportive of your hobbies.
It's true. Make a very valid point.
Yeah. I don't like his first name, though.
Jackstum, yeah.
It just doesn't sound right.
No, yeah, I have trouble saying it.
Jackstum Harms. Nah. Doesn't fit.
And so he tests him a little bit by asking him about kind of a memory that maybe, you know, Condra wouldn't have interrogated him about, which was kind of one of the approaches that Vin took when she was trying to find the Condra, was you got to ask them stuff that only we would know, but also stuff that the Condra wouldn't have asked about in like a torture session to try to impersonate them. And so he tells Lord Harms that he's in danger. I got to get you out of here. And Lord Harms said, what about my daughter? And there's like a paragraph where he's like, as if he had only one. Steris is fine. Wayne's watching her. Let's go. I don't know that Wayne's watching her that closely. Let's be fair. And so he's like, Bleeder is like older than the destruction of the world and has spent centuries studying human behavior. How can I possibly outthink her to make a choice that she couldn't predict? And the solution is you don't try. He chooses a spot completely at random, we find out later. And he sticks him there.
Yeah, and after the chapter ended, I was like, does he go back and get him, or does he just leave him there?
Yeah, he's just going to stay there. Oh, yeah. And so we cut to after the fight, where Wayne is sitting down, bruised, across from a huddle of bruised and obviously angry men. Wayne is eating a sandwich.
Where'd he get that?
He traded for it, obviously. I mean, they were at a party with a bunch of food, right? So.
Oh, yeah.
There's probably
he
some
traded
leftovers.
a punch in the face for a sandwich.
A knuckle sandwich for, yeah. There you go.
Oh.
It's a good trade. It's even got the name sandwich in it.
So,
Who's corny now?
Yeah, right.
Us.
Yep. Always. I like Steris is actually kind of trying to have a conversation. She's like, oh, Wayne, those are the governor's guards. He's probably going to need them. And Wayne's like, not my fault. They was being unaccommodating. And so she just kind of sits down beside him and sighs, and she's talking about Wax, like, it's always going to be like this, huh? Just being left behind in the middle of something. Always half feeling I'm a part of his life. And Wayne says, well, I mean, you could do the noble thing and just give up the marriage, let him loose to find someone he actually likes. And he's not wrong when she responds, well, what about my family's investment in his house? And Wayne says, well, I know this here is revolutionary words, Steris, but you can loan a chap money without him having to jump you in appreciation, if you know my meaning.
Jeez, Wayne, come on, man.
It's very rude and kind of horrible, especially since we know Steris kind of does like Wax. But he's also not wrong that, you can loan a guy money without having to get married to him.
Yeah, but the thing is, like, he just doesn't give an ounce of a shit about that. Like, he's just like, get away from my buddy sort of thing, and just saying whatever he can to try and drive it home.
Mm-hmm.
And like, man, you're out of line. Like, as much as I like Wayne, there are times he can be really annoying because he's just automatically assuming it's like, well, I just know best because I'm so clever and all. Mm. And this is one of those times it's like, you're actually not, mate. Step the fuck back.
Yeah, and especially because we get like this look into her head here where she's just like, he was always crass and whimsical, but rarely blatantly rude. He saved that for her. And she's like, what does he want? I've tried all these things to try to make this work, and it just makes things worse. And Steris says, did he say where he was going? And Wayne's like, no. I mean, he could have gone anywhere chasing bleeders. So he'll come back when he can, and if I leave, I'll just miss him. So we got to stay here. And she says, do you hate me because of what I represent? And Wayne says, I don't hate you. I find you repulsive. That there is an important distinction. It is. And that's when he, as she's trying to talk, just gets up and walks over to stand with the guards that have been glaring at him that he's just beaten up, giving a message that I would rather be with these guys than talking to you. Which, yeah, that's just the worst. But I actually kind of appreciate the depth of character that we've got a character that we actually like in Wayne, but Brandon never depicts them as like without fault. Like the good guys are not always good. I like the depth there.
Yeah, no, it is good. Let's be fair. If it was a character that we didn't really care about that he was doing this to, we wouldn't give an ounce of a shit.
Right.
It's just because he's picked someone who we have grown to really like, and we're just like, oh, hang on a minute. So that's that might be on us, but
yeah, and also because while we were confused at first by her behavior, we as readers have an understanding for that behavior, but Wax doesn't have that understanding.
Yeah.
So it's one of those things where it's like, okay, you kind of get why he's like this, but at the same time, you're kind of like, well, I mean, you ain't got to go that far.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. But here's where Marisai shows up and tells Steris that I'm sending you somewhere safe. And Steris is like, no, I think the danger's past, unless Wayne's picking fights again. And she's like, no, this has just started. Something else has happened. Wayne, get over here. We got work to do. And we cut back to Wax, who has deposited Lord Harms on top of a random tower, basically, that he picked numbers on a map and just was like, okay, I'm leaving you here. Hiding in darkness at the top of this tower.
Yeah, that's the part where I'm really like, is he going to go get him? Because he's just like on some random building just hiding in the dark. It's weird, man. Yeah,
it makes it sound to me like he's like, he puts him on the top floor of this building and puts him in a closet or something, and it's like, okay, you stay in here and be quiet.
Yeah, you stay here, don't move. I'll be back, maybe, if I remember.
It's like he hasn't even put him inside. He's just put him on the spire or something. It's like, all right, now you just wait here, do your best King Kong impression. I'll be back in a couple of hours.
Yeah, it's like he's like Batman. Hold on. He's like Batman. He left him on a rooftop, and he's like, all right, see ya. Wait, what? You're just gonna leave me here? Yeah. Just hide in the dark or something.
No, I imagine Harms is probably just really into this. He's sitting up there just going, this is my city. I will protect it. I will. And then Wax comes back. He's like, are you talking to yourself? No.
I feel like Harms will be into it for the first hour maybe. And then it's like, okay.
Yeah.
I gotta pee.
I gotta pee. And also it'd be nice if I had some alcohol up here. Maybe cold. Some food. Yeah.
I'm cold.
Yeah. Is my daughter okay? I mean, Okay. Well,
It's like they get
can
to the
I have
end.
my gun back, or?
Can you imagine, like, they get to the end of the book and they're just like, guys, I feel like there's something we've forgotten. And it's like, now what could we possibly have forgotten? And then Steris comes out. It's like, hi guys, has anyone seen my dad? And Wax goes, oh shit, I'll be right back. It's like a week later and he's still just hanging to the top of this building. It's like, hello.
The after credit scene is just him up there.
This is if this was like a TV show, like the transition to black would be like a circle that comes in to the middle on Wax and be like, whoops, and it'd be like,
okay, so Wax goes to find the governor, and he spots 3 unmarked carriages that left the tower. 2 of them must be decoys, and kind of starts eliminating them until he finds the correct one. And so he he just drops onto the carriage, nods to the surprised coachman, and then swings down and knocks on the door. The window shade opens, and the security guy's like, Ladrian? What the hell are you doing? Being polite, may I come in? So, okay, they let him in. And the governor's like, oh, geez, breaking up my party wasn't enough for you. Now you gotta harass me on my way home, too? And Wax is just immediately like, he shrugs and goes to climb back out. And the guy's like, what are you doing? Well, I'm leaving. Like, there's a lot of better places I could be. Most of them more pleasant than this. So here you go. Have a gun. And the governor's like, I don't need a gun. I have bodyguards. Yeah, so did your brother. Just take it. I'll feel guilty when you get shot if I haven't done something. The governor thinks that his brother was killed because of his flirtations with the underbelly of Elendel. They won't touch me. And Wax's like, yeah, I'm sure. That's, you know how to spot a conjurer, right, Drim? And the governor's like, those are myths. And Wax's like, oh, really? Okay, well, then I guess the one I met tonight was lying. I don't know how she made her skin transparent, but whatever. He seemed to have it in hand. One of the faceless immortals was at my party. 2, actually. One came to help. I would introduce you, but your mind seems made up. And so, yeah, he just keeps acting like he's going to leave. And finally, the governor's like, okay, fine. You've made your point. Just. And so he's kind of convinced him, not Drim. Drim's like, come on, this is bullshit, right? But the governor's like, so you can introduce me to one of these to, like, actually prove what you're saying. But why would Harmony's servant want to kill Lord Winsting? And Wax's like, so the conjurer's gone crazy. Don't know exactly what she's up to, but trying to keep you alive. And Wax says he's going to take over the governor's security, and his security guy's like hell you are. And the governor's like, no, you can't do that. And so Wax goes for the door again. Like, okay, there's a play I want to see, so I'll just go catch the tail end of that. I'm sure your head of security can handle if the conjurer shows up. He knew that they were at the party, right? He didn't miss Wayne slipping in wearing a disguise, right? And okay, yes, you've made your point again. That's a good point about Wayne too. Like, he was on your list of people not to let in. So,
well, like that's something they can't dispute. And it's like, oh, Candra's unreal, blah blah blah. And it's like, well, you missed Wayne getting in at the party, and it's like, all right, yes, you've got us on that one, so.
It's like, not only did a guy whose name was on your list of people not to let in just like put on a different outfit and make it in, but that was after he already approached the door once and was turned away. So your guy at the door knew what he looked like. It's, yeah.
Also, Marisai got in with him, which I was like, oh.
I guess the professor got a +1.
Plan to kidnap the professor.
And so the conversation kind of ends with the governor being like, okay, I want to meet this conjurer tonight. I want to see this proof of yours, ruffian. I guess a ruffian is someone from the Roughs.
Yeah. Now, hang on. You skipped over a great paragraph where they're talking about, he's thinking about who Bleeder could be in the governor's staff. It's like could be anyone. Like, could be the wife, could be a niece or a nephew, could be a toddler. Like, it could be one of the house pets. In the Historica, Kandra imitated animals. I'm like, one of them did that and got shit on for it.
He really did. I like how the story has transitioned because Tensoon's role was so important, right? As an animal.
Yeah. Now it's just like, all the Kandra did that, and the rest of them are just like, no, we didn't. But also, I like the idea of the house pets are secretly the assassins. It's like, Kitty's coming at you with a knife.
I mean, if my cat was really determined to kill me, he could probably manage it if he was, had that kind of intelligence. Just I'm asleep and he walks up and like rips out your throat or something. It can totally happen.
Yeah. Or
Wouldn't put it past a cat.
He shoves his paws into your mouth and so you suffocate.
I have had a cat like paw my face in the middle of the night, so it could happen.
Yeah, the worst is when they lick you with their bristly tongue on your face when you're trying to sleep. You're like, get off of me.
Yeah.
So, I mean, not a cat attacking, but I don't know if I've shared this story on the podcast before. When Dak and I started dating, the very first time he stayed over, it was middle of the night, and the curtains were open a little bit, the moonlight was coming through, and I looked over, and there's my cat standing over Dak, looking at him. And it was, to this day, the creepiest thing I've ever witnessed.
It's like what is this doing here?
Yeah. She's like,
she would absolutely eat you in the night. Yeah. What do you call this?
Yeah. But now you have to put up
Who
with
have I found you with in this bed?
Yeah,
This
that cat
is
is
my
now
bed.
19 and a half. Like, it could not fight back
Yeah.
to save its life. Makes a goddamn
Baby.
racket, though.
The baby tackles in it and goes, "Don't touch me." Very, very fierce cat.
Yeah.
Oh, that's a nice age for that's a nice long-lived cat.
Yeah.
Well, it's great because this is going to sound really weird. She's going deaf in her old age, which means that when the baby starts screaming, the cat doesn't get bothered by it.
Ah, makes sense.
Yeah.
I don't know if my cats ever seem very like they'll leave if the little ones are like yelling, but they don't seem particularly put out about it.
Yeah.
Okay, sorry. Back to the thing. I'm just picturing like you're sleeping and the cat's just standing over you like, what's this thing doing? It's terrifying.
Well, she does it to the baby now too. If the baby's in our bed, she gets all like, "What's going on here?" And then the baby starts laughing, and it's just the whole ordeal.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's
I think you described it that night. It's like the cat was perfectly silhouetted by the moon, so it looked like the Batman silhouette.
Correct,
cat.
yes.
Sure. Yeah. Okay. Sorry. So he explains that also this conjurer could have access to any of the metallic arts, so that's out there. And the conjurer's like, how do you stop something like that? And he's like, I don't know, actually. I mean, really, you should probably be dead already. And he's like, I mean, yeah, it could have killed me as easily as it did my brother. Why hasn't it? And he's like, yeah, I mean, I guess she has some sort of agenda bigger than just you. Who knows? And Wax tells him he should get out of the city. And the governor's just like, no, I can't leave the city. Are you stupid? Like, with everything happening, my career would be over. Better than your life being over. I don't know. I'm torn on, do you respect the guy for being like, no, I'm in charge of this city. I have to stay when things are bad, even if it might mean my life. Or is it more like, oh, I can't let my career get ruined by me looking cowardly? Because one of those is you might respect, and the other one you're like, oh, really?
I mean, they're both sort of true, really. So I can see both sides of that coin. It's kind of like all right, well, if I leave, all this bad shit will happen. It's like, yeah, that's bad. And if I leave, this will happen to me. I'm like, well, I don't really care about that. But it's like, but I can understand someone like, he's already outlined the altruistic reasons. So
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, so then he tells, or they arrive at where they're going, and a woman's like, hey, we just got a telenote through the wire. Something's happened. A murder. He's like, oh no, not Lord Harms. Like, if Bleeder had actually found Lord Harms after all that would have actually been real impressive. And the woman's just like, no, who the hell is that? It was Father Bin, the priest. And so we cut to Marisai, who's looking up at this corpse. This old priest has been nailed to the wall with a spike through each eye. It's not a great picture. A disturbingly reverent scene. Reminded her of something out of the Historica, though she couldn't remember what. So we know that from a conversation just very recently that the Historica is like the part of that Say's left behind that explain like the story, the history of what happened at the end of the world. I don't know. Was anybody nailed like that? I don't remember that necessarily. I'm not sure what that reference is. Other than obviously just like a Steel Inquisitor.
Hmm.
I don't know, maybe they're all referring to Iron Eyes as death, so maybe it's just symbolic of the Reaper.
Yeah. I almost thought like they were trying to tie it to the survivor somehow, like him being pierced by the spear, but obviously like some weird mythology has cropped up over the years from that story, so.
Yeah.
Well, I think they like one of the churchgoers says that later. It's like it's a perversion of how the survivor died. I'm like, I don't see how it is. But...
yeah, I know.
Yeah, it's very strange.
I guess maybe like when the survivor was fighting that Inquisitor at the survivor, when Kelsier was fighting the Inquisitor, he beheads him after like smashing him in the face with a rock and like nailing him to a cart by his own spikes before he cuts to like trap him before he cuts the head off. Maybe that's what it is.
I don't know.
That was the big final fight where he gets killed. So maybe that kind of ties into everything. But yeah, so she's gonna talk to the convecticalists, the people who work in a survivor's church aside from the priest. So an old gray-haired woman in the formal dress of a church matron. And like they walk up, she and Aradel to Reddy, and Reddy's like, so you want to handle the interrogation yourself, sir? And the people are all sitting there and they hear the word interrogation. They're like, wait, what? And Aradel's like, no, I think we'll let Lieutenant Colmes give this one a shot. And so she's trying to play it nice. You know, just like, my condolences. I mean, well, I don't know why you wouldn't. It's not like these people have done anything. But my condolences on your loss. And apparently, we get real quick into, apparently there is some feelings between the survivorists and the Pathians. Because this church matron is like, I knew those Pathians were a miscreant bunch. I always knew it. They want chaos, nothing but chaos. And so they had 1,000 people in the dome for worship. The Mist had put in quite an appearance. And this Pathian, they call it priest for lack of a better word, but I don't think they're actually called priests, is what we find out. But she's like, oh, yeah, we know this Larkspur guy. You always see him at community functions. People feel like they have to invite a Pathian priest just to not show favoritism. No one wants them around. The under priest is like, yeah, those barely fit in his robes. They don't even dress up for worship. Very, like, wow.
So this bit I started thinking, okay, so like the original trilogy, like, yeah, I've had Sazed and all the religions he had, but that was sort of a side thing for the most part. And then Elantris, like the war between religions was a central part of the conflict. And now we're getting that again. I'm like, are all these books going to have some sort of underpinning of religion versus religion? Because after Elantris, I think, like, okay, we can do something else now, you know?
Definitely not the only time it shows up. It's interesting.
Mm.
Yeah, I guess as we progress, you will have to make that judgment on for yourself, but we'll see.
I put the brain in the robot, you know.
And so apparently this person that I guess we have to assume was Sakandra, since the Kandra said they were going to kill, the Bleeder said, I'm going to kill your father, and then this person seems to have killed the priest and must have been impersonating this a Pathian religious figure that people have known for a long time, but just gets up there and starts preaching that the survivor was a false god, and in front of 1,000 survivorists. So yeah, that's going to go over real well. His death hadn't been about protecting us or ascending, but about stupidity and bravado, which, well, I mean, a little from column A, a little from column B, I feel like. It definitely wasn't about ascending. He didn't know anything about ascending when he died. And they're like, yeah, it's what they always think. They don't say it, but they mock the survivor. They have no meetings, no churches, no commandments. It's not even a religion. So it's just, these guys are really going hard. And I mean, I kind of, you kind of understand it because they just saw their priest dead at the hands of one of these guys. But this seems to be like some stuff they've been thinking for a while.
Yeah, it's definitely an undercurrent of bad feelings between the groups.
And so, yeah, the guy gets up and he gives this whole speech and then makes a dramatic gesture and the draping falls down and there's the Father Ben apparently hanging there the whole time.
Actually horrifying and terrifying.
Yeah.
Like just that image of some madman standing up there. Well, you're perceiving them as a madman. And then the curtain opens to this absolutely horrific sight in front of your community. Oh, not
Yeah.
okay.
No. And apparently his hands were red, like from the blood this whole time. And the guy's like, I thought he was wearing gloves at first, and I saw like the drops splattering as he gestured. So yeah, it's very disturbing. And I like when Marisai comes back, she's like, what do you think? And Reddy's like, about the information or your interrogation techniques? And Marisai, she's like, no, either. She's like, I'm perfectly willing to take notes from you on the interrogation, even despite the fact that you hate me. And Marisai says it's got to be the same person who killed Winston. And Aerodal's like, but why? What would be the motive? And Marisai's like, well, I mean, how else are you going to explain this? Pathian priests are some of the least aggressive people on the planet. I've seen toddlers more dangerous.
Toddlers are vicious.
You're not wrong.
Sharp teeth and terrifying little buggers.
No sense of
They run
spatial
faster
awareness.
than they run faster than they should. Fall over, knock stuff off the table.
What's that thing? No one's seen anything move as fast as a toddler who you're asking what they've got in their mouth.
Yeah, exactly.
Yep.
Have you guys ever seen that video? It's like it's at a pool party, and this child's older than a toddler, but maybe they're like 4 or 5. But it's a video, and the mom's like, "What are you?" He's like running by, and she's like, "What do you have in your hand?" And he goes, "A knife." And then she goes, "No!" And then she runs after him.
No, I have not seen that video, and
No,
that's
I
terrifying,
saw
and I don't want to see it
No.
now.
It's a pretty good video. It's very, very good for a chuckle. It's just like quick. Like that's the whole video.
No, I don't need. I've had this happen. I don't need to. No, it's fine. Yeah. So, anyways. But okay, so I like that Aerodal sends Reddy to go get the Convectilus something to drink, and Reddy's like, "Excuse me." It's like, "Well, you've been spending too much time at the gun range. You gone deaf? Do it. I need to talk to Constable Combs." And she's after he leaves, she's like, he glares at her. She's like, "I can't help but notice that you're determined to make all the rest of the constables hate me." And Aerodal's like, no, it's fine. You got to give that guy a nudge. He's useless when he's not trying to show off for me.
I mean, there's a certain, like, as a team leader and a manager of people, you have to take certain approaches to dealing with certain types of personalities to get the best results out of them. I don't know that this is a path I would take. It just seems
It seems counterproductive in in numerous ways.
Yeah.
It's like, sure, maybe that'll motivate him right this second.
No, I believe that's the opposite.
But it'll also motivate him to dislike her more and more and
You're
more.
gonna create a toxic situation.
And then act out. Yep.
But by that point, I'll be retired.
And I won't
Well.
care. Oh, here comes Wax, who I also have a lot of problems with.
And so Marisai is talking to him, and he's like, I can't fight mist-wraiths and spirits in the night. I'm a watchman, not an exorcist. And so on the ride over, she had told him about, who they're actually fighting here. And he's just like, I don't know what to do with that. Like, what am I going to...
That is the Aerodal we want to see. We need a book about Aerodal the Exorcist. He shows up, the creepy piano music starts playing. There's girls doing crab walks upstairs.
He just picks up someone, shoves his hand through their chest, and starts pulling the bones out. And it's like, back to your blob form, monster.
Yeah. He throws his arms together, and he's got a, like Constantine in that movie, and he's got a symbol on his arms with a tattoo, like comes together and makes like a magic word or whatever.
That was such a weird choice in that.
Yeah, that was a strange choice. That whole movie is strange.
That movie was a strange choice in itself.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
I don't think I've seen it.
I like when the devil shows up and pulls the cancer out of him. That's kind of cool.
I was about to say, like, I always love that actor that they got.
Yeah.
He's always fun.
Yeah, the guy who plays Uli.
Oh, it actually it had an amazing cast when you look at it. Like the entire cast is like, holy shit! Like all these people are in it. It's got Keanu Reeves. It had young Shia LaBeouf. It had Tilda Swinton. Like Peter Stormare was Satan, and Jimon Honsu, who I think we've talked about on the show, was in it as well. Like, fuck, the cast
Oh
was stacked.
yeah, that's Papa Midnight. I'd forgotten that.
Papa Midnight.
I mean,
And
I I'm like, I don't know that Shia LaBeouf is great cast, but you're right. There's a lot of really good people in there.
I mean, yeah, like he might not be, but he's still certainly a name. Like, you mention his name and people, like, you don't have to go, oh, that guy from such and such a movie. It's like you say the name, people know who he is. So it's
The
still
guy from Holes,
Dig it up, No, he's been in tons of stuff. He was in Fury. People like him in that.
except for his co-stars.
Oh, I didn't hear about that.
Yeah. Anyway, sorry. I think the final call is Jamie. You probably don't need to see it. It's okay. Although there's some good stuff about it.
Yeah,
Okay.
But anyway, back to this Exorcist talk. I mean, come on. That's what we need. We need Brandon to write an Exorcist book.
How do you know he hasn't?
I guess that's true. Oh, fine. It'll get worked into one of the scripts I write. Exorcism.
They just drop into an exorcism. Hunting.
Yeah. They're gonna. I mean, don't spoil it. Don't spoil it. Don't spoil it. You're gonna have to cut all this out. But I mean, what if they did? What if they drop? What if they had to do a possum exorcism? It could happen.
Well, no, it's like now.
I mean, it is like an exorcism, getting a possum out of your roof or something.
Oh yeah.
I was gonna say, now, is the possum possessed by a demon, or is the possum just the demon?
The
Yeah,
demon.
exactly. Yeah. At the end of the exorcism, they're gonna be like, "Oh, it was just a possum. Never mind."
Okay. But back to Aradel. It says the city's about to go up in flames. Basically, I don't have time for this shit. And Marisol's like, well, yeah, but what if they're not unrelated? What if Bleeder is trying to orchestrate this with the things that she's doing to make the city fall apart?
Aridel's like, "I'm too old for this shit."
He really is. And he tries to pull out a cigar, and he finds a note from his wife. Says there's a banana in your drawer.
First thought is that I thought Wayne had swapped something.
Yeah, me 100%. That's where I was. I was like, wait, did Wayne trade a cigar for a banana? I'm
Banana.
confused.
I now wish that had been it instead. That's so good.
Yeah. But his
Also,
wife is
I like the
basically
wife
like,
game.
yeah, exactly. The wife's basically like, "You're not gonna smoke. I put a banana in your drawer. You're gonna eat that instead."
And he's just like, couldn't you put a banana in the cigar case so I could eat it now?
He's like, "Yeah, here I am, still cigarless, with a note. I gotta go
Right.
back to the office just to eat this banana you
I'm
so
supposed to
you
smoke
left."
this note.
Yeah, exactly. I'm gonna get back to the office. And that banana's gonna be all brown because it's been like a week. Come on.
Well, I like that his wife went to his office and like secreted a banana into like the police station and then into his drawer.
She's like, she's got some arrangement work out with the guy on the front desk. He's like, I'm coming in. It's like, all right, what are we doing this time? Like, you got another banana? Nah. This time I got a sausage.
No, I bet it's like one of those things where he opens random stuff at work and he's like, "God damn it, another fucking fruit in here." She keeps doing this shit, leaving fruit everywhere.
Oh my god. So
You could have put a banana in the gun holster.
Yeah, exactly.
So way back when, like, in the younger dumber days, like, go around to everyone's house and you just get absolutely trashed and everyone passes out there, stays there overnight, get up and leave the next morning, like, big drinking parties. There was one I went to, and for some reason a couple of the drunk guys decided it'd be really funny to hide bits of fruit everywhere throughout the house. And the people who lived at the house were finding fruit in all these random places for months afterwards.
Ew.
Like, it's like open up the sugar for make a cup of tea the next morning. Why is there an orange in here? And that's fine because they find it the next morning. But when there's a banana going rotten in the cistern of the toilet, not so funny.
Oh no, gosh.
No.
When you open it, when you're like, "Oh, I smell something gross," and you open up your air duct and there's like a rotting orange in there, you're like, "Oh man."
Yeah. I don't know why they thought that was a good idea, but it's just like, that was so weird, and I still think
Because they were drunk.
sometimes.
That's why they thought it was a good idea.
Okay, yeah.
Same group. Sorry, Duck. Is this the same group of people that stuck googly eyes on everything?
No, actually.
Oh, okay.
Jamie now realizing her husband hung out with ridiculous people in more than one group.
Yep.
In their discussion, they're trying to trace back where the city unrest kind of originated, and they decide that the flood seemed to be behind the biggest strain currently because of a broken dam. Which he's like, well, did we investigate that as much as maybe we should have? And he's like, do you think it was sabotage? And she's like, could be worth checking out. And he's like, okay, but she's got to have a point, right? Like, I don't know about mist wraiths, but when men do things, there's the reason. They're trying to prove something. They want to show how clever they are or stop an injustice. Apparently the governor is a Pathian, so he's like, maybe that's involved somehow. And Marisai says she might have proof the governor is corrupt. And it's like, okay, well, we're going to talk about this later. We've got some other stuff going on right now.
I might have proof. What kind of proof? Not definitive proof.
Yeah.
That's not proof.
No. Yeah.
Keep that to yourself.
And in comes Wax. Doors slam open. He just strolls in. And she's like, how is it that he's like everything a constable should be, but isn't? And as she's going to soon find out, also just like super annoying to people. And Aridel's trying real hard to. He's like, oh, Lord Ladrian, we'll have a report for you soon. And he's like, yeah, I can see for myself, thanks. And he just drops a bullet casing and pushes himself up into the air so he's level with the dead guy nailed to the wall. Which, I don't know, did the Contra bring in a ladder to put this guy up here? Or maybe the Contra's using some coin shop power also. And Aridel's like, just see that his lordship gets whatever he needs. Maybe he can make something of this, assuming he doesn't shoot the place up instead. And this is the first time that Marisai's heard Aridel talk about Tim kind of like he is. She's like, wait, do you have a problem with him? No, his lordship is a great resource to the department. And, yeah, really, he's just like, it must be damn nice to have other people clean up your mess for you. Marisai's realizing for the first time that, he's, Wax gets to just do what he wants. He's a house lord and an allomancer. He's powerful in multiple ways. And so he gets to go around doing what he wants and making messes, and somebody else has to take care of it after the fact.
So this does seem very superhero-y. Like this is all the cops in Gotham who aren't Gordon who have to deal with Batman doing stuff, and it's like, man, fuck that guy. He took her job.
And so they get into a discussion. He says that Bleeder wants to overthrow the city. Maybe the governor's murder will be like the capstone, but what does this have to do with me? Everything doesn't have to be about you, Not everything, just this. And annoyingly, he's probably right. Which, I mean, when and just like she says, Bleeder's walking around in the body of the guy who killed his wife. Yeah, it's about him somehow, or it's like he's related.
Also, they dug his coin out of a dude's arm.
Yeah. It's certainly Wax adjacent.
Yeah.
Although Marisai doesn't know about the coin, right? Because he only told Steris about that.
Well, she knew the dude had a coin in his arm, and I think the coin didn't have why did you leave Wax or something carved into it.
Something like that. Like, you'd imagine he probably would have told Marisai about it, and then we got him telling Steris about it on the way to the party sometime later that day. That's what I thought.
I feel like Marisai wouldn't let him walk out without explaining something, at least a little bit.
What does this coin mean? You don't need to know.
Yeah, none of your business. Shut up. I'm taking it.
I don't know you.
But Marisai's like, Wax, we gotta know. We need more information about what this thing can do, about what its motives could be. And Wax says, I agree. I'd like to ask God a few hard questions, but I doubt he's gonna make himself available. We'll have to settle for someone else. And so he's
what a line. It's like, I'm gonna have to talk to God, but he's not gonna listen.
Gonna ask him some hard questions.
Yeah.
You've got all the people that are already thinking that Wax is just a bit full of it, and now drinking his own Kool-Aid or whatever. Oh, I'm gonna go talk to God. Oh God.
I hope some other cops were there and heard that. Yeah.
But also,
did he just say he was gonna go talk to God? Nah. Surely he meant he was gonna go talk to, his dog.
but also, Wax is a known Parthian, isn't he? And he's saying this in a survivorist church, and they've got that cluster of people the survivors down there who are just like, oh man, fuck those Parthians. And like, can you imagine if they heard a Parthian say that in their church? It's like, the fuck you say?
That's an interesting point.
Yeah, it's like it cuts away from this scene because this is where the matron and all those kids just crash tackle Wax and start beating the shit out of him. You don't get to talk about our God, damn it! Fucking Parthian.
It really makes me wonder, like, what the survivor, because the survivors have this history that is written by Sazed. Do they disagree with like the fact that Sazed descended and remade the world, or are they like, oh yeah, it's like Harmony's a god, but he's not like the one that we like? I don't know how you justify.
Well, I get the feeling it's because like Sazed's ascendance came after Kelsia's death, and Sazed was in position to do it because of events that indirectly led from Kelsia's death. So they could probably spin it as the survivor came first and gave Harmony what he needed to ascend. Therefore, the survivor is the one who got everything started.
Yeah, and also the survivors, survivorism is an older religion technically, because it's like
true, it is,
and the last emperor became a survivorist.
It's also true. Yep.
So
yeah.
They're probably
Forgotten
like,
that.
well, the last emperor thought it was good, and he's the one who brought about, our new world with his other friends, and obviously the survivorist is the best religion.
Yeah, I'm just wondering about their theology, because they apparently have a very organized, very like there's precepts and commandments and stuff. It sounds like. So I'm just like, I wonder what their theology around the survivor is. That they're like, are they worshiping him, or is it like, is there a different sort of dynamic than? But yeah, it's
yeah. Basically, they're like, our precepts must be obeyed, and Wax is like I care.
What I want to know is like, how is Marsh taking this whole survivorist movement? Because I mean, by the time it really started becoming a thing, he'd been fully co-opted by Ruin.
Right.
And so we didn't really get to see much of him after Ruin. Well, we didn't get to see any of him after Ruin died, and he was released from his control. So now that he's wandering the world and just like, doing whatever death does and acting like, doing Harmony stuff, like he's just like, why the fuck do you guys worship my brother? He was a twat. Fuck you guys.
He seems to have some kind of respect for his brother.
Right? Yeah, he was like, he's doing my brother's work. So
yeah, I guess.
But I really like the end of this chapter where he's trying not to say exactly who he's met, but he's like, so yeah, I got somebody that we can go talk to. Do you want to come? And she's like, yeah, why wouldn't I? I'm worried that interacting with her might prove theologically difficult.
It's like, and also she's super hot, so like that's weird.
Yeah, it's all a little bit weird.
God, can you imagine like it's like Wax, Wayne, and Marasai talking to Milan, and she does the whole turn the boob transparent and put the gun back in, and Wayne's like, oh my god, and looks at Marasai, can you do that?
Yeah, all women can do that. They've just been hiding it this whole time.
Yeah, she blushes and is like, no.
That does sound like Marasai. Okay, so that's the end of our chapters. Let's move into predicaments. What do you guys think? What are we gonna see now?
All right, so we got these people. They're on their train of thoughts, which I think are bad. I think they're gonna get hoodwinked again. So I'm gonna keep with my theory. My theory that Edvorn is actually his dad.
Okay.
And I'm going to keep with my theory that Bleeder is actually a Khandra that was at one point Lessie. I'm going to stick with it. And so going along that path, and I think I theorized about this some last time too. I think Marasai's right. I think the Bleeder's point is to try to disrupt Elendel completely, because Elendel is the center of this world that's been established. And they've got it. She's just trying to shake things up and completely disrupt society, either to take it over or to just like disrupt the way things work in the world. Because obviously she's insane and wants to be a god or something. I don't know. Something weird's going on. But if she's actively working against Harmony, which is what Harmony has told us, then it would make sense that she would want to take his basically paradise that he created and just like completely and destroy it or whatever. So I'm going to go with Marasai's right. she's going for a complete disruption of things. What's going to immediately happen is I hope he goes and remembers to get Lord Harms, because that'd be awkward if he forgot about that.
Yep.
And they're gonna go meet Milan. Marisai's gonna be like, "Whoa, this is overwhelming. I can't believe this is happening. This person's a Kandra." And I hope that Milan will shed some light on possibly what other Kandra are doing, and maybe maybe being a Kandra, Milan will give more specific information about Bleeder. That would be helpful. So that's what I think immediately is going to happen. But yeah, that's pretty much all I got.
Okay. Yeah, that makes sense. We're going kind of just continuing some of the same theories that we had last time, which last time was a big time for new theories. So I can definitely see where you're going on those.
Okay, yeah, I don't really have anything groundbreaking really in terms of where the story's going as a whole. I don't know how we're going to get back to Mr. Suit, even though we sort of know, or we speculate that he is involved and somehow this is about Wax. Somehow it all ties together. I'm not quite sure. I don't know how that's going to come back together yet. I'm hoping, the immediate future is that we pick up with Milan and I guess just find out a little bit about what the Kandra are actually doing now, because they kind of were, spies attached to certain families and things like that. But Milan really appears to have embraced 5th generation life, I guess. I think it was 5th generation. Yeah, and I mean, I hope that we actually get to see Ten soon. I feel like they've name dropped him now. I would be disappointed if we didn't actually see him. I like to think that he's, living as a dog with some aged meat somewhere, having quite a grand old time, but I feel like he's probably up to more stuff. Yeah, I don't know, maybe Marsh has a dog. You never know. I don't know how they've all come back together, but I hope that we see that sort of come about soon. I get the feeling, and I was trying to sort of work through it about how it works with Kandras, and I don't think I've unlocked it yet, but it appears that we've got wedges being driven between Wax and the various people that he's close to. So, you've kind of got Aradel's put a new perspective to Marisai about, he's actually just swanning around doing whatever. And from other people's perspective, watching Wax do things, he seems to be really quite full of himself at the moment.
Right.
And I like the thing about, shooting the bullet into the ground. It's like you're in a crime scene. Like you've now just tainted any evidence that's here just to, lift yourself up and be the big hero here. But also the stuff that was going on with Steris and Wayne. I wonder how far this is going to go, because I was like, oh, maybe there's a Kandra who's pretending to be Wayne, but he can't because Wayne's not dead. So I don't know. I mean, could you be if someone lost a finger, could you become that person? Like, do they have to be dead, or do you just have to have their bones? Just a thought throwing out there, really.
Yeah.
I don't necessarily need an answer to it right now, but not saying Wayne
throwing
lost
another
a hand
trail
or something.
I think we figured out that good Kandra can work with like if really, really, really good Kandra can work with anything.
Yeah. Like Tensoon could do it.
Yeah.
He was considered a good Kandra, I guess. He could replicate things pretty well and fast. I feel like because they're not really united at the moment. Wayne feels like he's losing his friend. He doesn't like Steris. Steris is going to feel a little bit like, oh, Wayne doesn't like me. It sort of comes back to Wax and the relationship that he has with each of these people. So I don't know what other forces are at play here.
Right.
Yeah.
Still moping of him.
Well, I don't know. I don't really get the sense that she's as mopey as she was in the last book. I feel like she's kind of made the effort to, and then, want Wax to see her as a constable, like as a colleague.
Yeah.
Like I don't feel like she's still pining after him, but then he kind of was like, oh, she's still pining after me, and sort of dismissing everything. But I sort of don't feel like she's like that so much anymore. But she's now having this picture painted, from Aradel's perspective that, no, well, we all just have to deal with his mess. Like, yeah, he looks wonderful and he comes in and he solves problems and stuff, but look at the dust he kicks up as well. He's basically crapping on the constabulary. He's literally making a mess by messing up our crime scenes, and he's causing all sorts of mayhem and havoc out in the streets by conducting these chases that if the constables had done something like that, they would have been absolutely called to answer for that. Whereas he's just got his mist cloak on and off he goes. So I just feel like there's the tensions being drawn here as well. So I don't know if it could just be coincidence, or if we've got something more sinister at play in this targeting Wax. It's not just so, overt like bloody Tan turning up and the coin in the arm that are very clearly about Wax, but trying to destabilize his network, his community. I'm not quite sure. I feel like there's something else going on there. I don't know how that's going to resolve yet. So I guess it's not really a prediction, but
that's okay.
Thoughts, I guess. We came up with some pretty big stuff, like you said last week. So
right.
Upon thinking about it more today, the father thing, I mean, it still would be really great if we had this Wax, I am your father situation that comes up somewhere else. Maybe, okay, Wax's father is dead. Is there someone using Wax's father's bones to imitate Wax's father, and now they have to kill that Kandra?
Or maybe like another Kandra's using it and that Kandra is in on it, so they're just going to stage him being killed again just to re-traumatize Wax for no other reason than just to fuck with him.
Possibly.
Maybe his dad was a Kandra all along, and he secretly half Kandra.
Well, yeah, can you be half Kandra?
That's just, I have no idea.
Yeah. So many questions. Anyway.
So I looked it up. Melon is 7th generation. Just
okay.
For anyone who cared about us getting that right.
Yeah, thank you.
and I know at the one crime scene in the church, at least, he wasn't shooting the ground. He dropped a shell casing like it was empty and used that to push himself up. So.
Okay. I mean, still littering a crime scene, but
yeah.
less destructive.
At least he's not ruining the floor this time.
This time, yeah.
Because he has a thing for wrecking cobblestones.
Yep. Well, and I mean, when he jumped out the window at the beginning of that first chapter we read, he shoots the ground to be able to slow himself down. And I was like, man, this is the second time that we've seen him do that. And you're like, so you knew there was nobody there, right? Before you did that.
Yeah.
So. Okay, good thoughts.
Yeah, I don't know, too, I guess, following on from what Jamie said, I do like the idea that, in this book, the fellowship breaks a bit because everyone has different ways of trying to go about things, different priorities. They're all after the same goal, but how they approach them and how they approach just living in general are all very different now. So maybe, the friendship group splits up a bit and they realize we're not exactly the best partners for each other, which is probably going to hit Wayne the hardest because he doesn't really have anywhere else to go.
Right.
Everything he's described is that he seems, if it wasn't for Wax, he would just be dead or destitute. So, but I mean, his whole thing is disguises, so I'm sure he could con his way into getting some money somehow before he gets bored. But as far as my predictions go, I don't have too much except that Aradel's going to die. Just as soon as he said, we'll talk about this later, I'm like, oh no, you're going to die before you actually talk about it, aren't you? That's the whole, we're going to discuss this later, and we're going to, he's a reasonable authority figure to Marisai, so she's going to have that support network taken away from her. He's going to die, and she's going to have to fend for herself. Maybe she'll get blamed, or after the conversation they've had, maybe Wax will get blamed for it, and that will further drive a wedge between Marisai and Wax. Maybe she will blame him for it. But yeah, at some point Aradel's going to go down, and it's going to be messy. And yeah, I mean, I don't want that to happen. I like the guy, but yeah.
2 constable generals in a row. That'd be unfortunate.
Yeah.
And the next thing you know, he's gonna be like, "I'm 2 weeks away from retirement." And you're like, "No, don't say it." Okay. Any other predictions you wanted to do? Sorry, I didn't want to cut you off or anything.
No, that's really all I've got at this point.
Good.
I'm still banking on this whole the end of the book. They're just like, have we forgotten something? Oh shit, Lord Harms.
That's a new prediction. You just stick with that through the end of the book now. You're like,
Yep.
Lord Harms is out there somewhere. Okay.
And I found this random rope, so I just kind of abseiled down the side of the building.
Hey,
There was an old window washer harness, so I just kind of used that. And it's like, sorry.
We have one new patron this week at the misting patron level, and it is Charlie.
Hey, Charlie. You Gasper, you. You're storing that breath, man. You're doing it.
Nice. I feel like that is a potentially useful one that it's on my list. Like, yeah, I wouldn't necessarily mind having that. Not my first choice or anything, but you know.
Wouldn't mind having it.
Okay, we got a couple.
You don't need to breathe underwater. You can go down for as long as you want.
Right. We got a couple new reviews.
Yeah, it seems like it'd be uncomfortable, like storing it though.
Storing it, yeah, when you got to do the hyperventilating. I don't know. Maybe storing it like makes it so that it's not as uncomfortable as it would be. I don't know.
Yeah.
Okay, couple new reviews. The first one is from Heathbar311. It says, "Love this show. Listening to the cast read the Cosmere books is as close to getting to read them again for the first time as it gets. Dak, Jamie, and Joe always bring something interesting to the table each week, and they have some fantastic predictions, sometimes eerily close to true and sometimes wide off the mark, but it's always interesting to hear what they picked up on in their first reads compared to yourself and how their interpretations morph into their predictions. I always look forward to Monday mornings to listening to this podcast."
Oh, Heathbar, you smoker, you.
Don't let them replace your smokes with a banana. Oh wait, that's a different.
That's a different thing.
Yeah.
Wasn't with the burn.
And our second one is from someone who sent an email not that long ago, and I think maybe mentions it in here. Sorry. Ashwin says, "Fabulous content, hilarious folks" is the title. Hey, it's Ashwin. I gotta say, I love this podcast. I've been listening since Hero of Ages, and it is the highlight of my Mondays. I love how Data manages to poker face his way through even the most eerily accurate of Dak, Jamie, and Joe's predicaments. I've never been one to actively take part in a podcast, but when these guys set up a Patreon, I knew I had to go support them. 11 out of 10 recommend. Thanks for the amazing podcast. P.S. Data, thanks for pronouncing my name right. It's intended to sound Terrace. Nice job picking up on that. I hope I pronounced it right the second time. Because I do remember being like, oh, it sounds kind of Terrace when we read the email. Or maybe it wasn't an email. Maybe it was actually the Patreon. Whichever.
You really pulled me in on that one, you lurcher. You lurching all around.
Okay. Thank you guys for the reviews on Apple Podcasts. Apparently they've added the ability to leave reviews on like Spotify or something recently. So,
that's cool.
I don't know that I would get those through here. So if someone's out there leaving us reviews on Spotify, feel free to like email me to be like, hey, I left this review out there, because I don't know that I'll see it through here. I haven't seen any yet. So, but yeah, we also have one email from last week and one new email that we can go through this time. The first one is from Naomi, who says, "Hey, Sanderlanche crew, it's Naomi again. I haven't been able to email you guys in a while because of school, but I just finished all my exams. I'm going to graduate with all A's. Woo!
Nice.
Congrats.
Nice.
I'll finally be able to catch up. I just finished Elantris. In episode 71, I believe, you created a mascot called Richard the Book, but since that episode, he's been forgotten. So I decided to draw him. I hope you enjoy it.
Wow.
Oh my god.
Yeah. Can't wait to start Emperor Soul." And then she sent a second email. It's like, oh, I forgot to say, it wasn't to the time of next, y'all.
Yeah. Oh, hey, Naomi, we actually did not forget Richard the Book. There were many talks about how we could use Richard the Book in the future. So I'm excited that you drew him for us, because we've definitely had discussions about Richard the Book.
Yeah.
The Thick Book is, I believe, his full name.
Richard the Thick Book. In private, these discussions were had.
I'll show you guys the picture.
Oh, I can't wait.
So yes, thank you, Naomi. You're awesome. So the other one is from.
Oh, I like that. She wrote insert Futurama reference here.
Yep.
That's great.
Yeah, that's brilliant. Excellent.
Very cool.
The next one is from Brooke. And Brooke says, "Hi there, Dak, or Data, Dak, Jamie, and Joe. A couple weeks ago, for you guys asked anyone who'd been listening from the very early days to get in touch. I can't recall exactly when I started listening. I'm fairly sure it was within the first 10 episodes. The number 6 seems to stick out in my mind. So while that isn't the first episode, I do consider myself a long-time listener." Yeah, no, I think that definitely qualifies, I gotta say.
Oh, yeah.
I heartily enjoy listening to you all. I love the camaraderie you all have, and you have a great podcast format. Your personalities, along with the content itself, has made me quite the dedicated fan. It seems strange that you can grow such warmth and fondness for people you've never met, but your fun tales and opinions are so much fun. And at a time when the world has gone crazy, I think there's a special sort of comfort you can get from listening to people talk about a story that you love. You see, I started listening to your podcast at a crazy time in my life. In the latter half of 2019, I quit my job as a journo, severely burnt out and worn down. Then COVID hit and the world was flipped again. In the time since I've been listening to you guys, I've moved twice, started dating, then married my wonderful husband, started a new job, and begun the process of getting my own fantasy manuscript published. Just this week, I sent it off to the editor, which, hey, that's super awesome.
Nice.
Input for me there, yeah. So in the midst of all of it, having your podcast to listen to has been a real joy. There have been times I've missed a few months, but always caught back up. I love Brandon's books and was first introduced by the Stormlight Archive. They're still my favorite. Also reading them, I had to go back and read all of Brandon's other Cosmere books. My second read-through of Stormlight blew my mind as I found all the connections. You guys have some awesome books ahead, and I'm itching for you to get to them. I'm rambling, but well done on such an awesome show. I've been meaning to email for ages. All the best. Oh, and I love Steris. Can't wait for you guys to get to see why. Wasn't to the time of next, Brooke. And then it says, oh, and Dak and Jamie, I'm in Queensland, a town called Toowoomba.
Oh, nice.
Well, that's really cool. You're doing it, man. You're being creative, and I always applaud that. That takes a lot of courage and strength and awesomeness. So
yeah, knock 'em dead, man.
Yeah, good luck with your manuscript. I'm jealous.
Someday, Data and I will go to Australia. Someday.
Oh, I've already got it scheduled.
Oh, you do, huh?
Yeah, we scheduled a cruise that does Australia and New Zealand for February 2024.
Oh, well, fine. Leave me out completely.
You can also go if you want. I'm just,
Yeah.
We got a good deal
see.
on it. Okay, thank you guys for the emails. Really appreciate people taking the time to write in. If anyone would like to email us, the address is thesanderlanche@gmail.com. You can find us on Twitter and Instagram and Facebook and now Patreon also. So all over the internets, the interwebs and such. Music by Miracle of Sound. Throw that in while I'm thinking about it. For next time, we are reading 2 more chapters. That will be 13 and 14. We are going to be missing, I think the plan right now is for next week. We will not have a new episode, and we should be back the week after that, I think is the plan.
Yes, that is correct.
You won't hear us. We won't be in your phone. I apologize.
It's all right. Thank you, everybody. And we will see you in a couple of weeks, your time. It's going to be more like 3 our time, I guess. That's why we get ahead of things as much as we can. We recorded a little extra ahead of time to help us cover some of it. So whenever that next time is, wasing to the time of next. Colo?
Check my head, I guess the joke's on me. Oh, I'm not laughing at the irony. Oh no, check my head, the sky at night. On me, I stand the highest heights. I'm up to the sky at night. I stand the highest heights. So riddle me this now and